Hello, hello. We are back once again, and Inter Miami is back to winning ways as well. So, I'm Franco Panizo, one of your usual co-hosts. We had a late substitution here. Andrea Yanes, aka Akisita, was set to join us, but she was replaced by Jose Armando. A super sub appearance for Jose Armando, whose microphone is muted. I can't unmute him for some reason, so I can't properly introduce him. But you can see him if you're watching. If you're listening, you can't hear him yet. Here we go. That's
There you
better.
go.
How are you, Jose?
I'm doing good. I'm pinch hitting tonight. But
Pinch
no,
hitting?
actually, I was on the schedule, but you just didn't know it.
Yeah, I didn't.
In our WhatsApp group, I actually you asked us at what time, and I actually said 9:23, and I guess you thought that was Andrea, but I was always in, so here I am. Sorry, guys, Andrea is not here. I know Andrea is kind of the fan favorite here, but we'll see. We'll do
The
our
star
best.
of the show. The star of the show.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we have Jose Armando, aka Cinco, aka Island Jose, alongside with myself again, Franco Panizo on Miami Total Football Radio, the show, aka Miami Total Football Radio, the show. Jose, we've got some better things to talk about with regards to Inter Miami, but also some still concerning things. And we're going to go to the comment section before we get to those concerning things. First comment comes from Tank71. He gives a red card for Afisita for her no-show appearance. All right. Andrea got 2.5 minutes into the show. So I think that's a record. It's like, it's pretty quick. Paul Dalgo says, saludos desde Ecuador. We've got Ecuadorians in the house. Saludos, Ecuador. Ecuador está presente. Saludos, hermano Paul. All right, Jose. Before we get into the positive, which was Inter Miami getting back to winning ways this past weekend, we've got to talk about something else that happened in that win. And that is that Jordi Alba picked up an injury, an apparent hamstring injury, in the second half. He did not train on Wednesday. No update, no official update yet from the team, but he was not training on Wednesday with the rest of the group. It looks unlikely that he'll play this weekend. We can talk about the implications of his absence, but more than that, it's just another injury for Inter Miami. And as you see, this week's podcast is titled Messi and the Walking Wounded, because this team gets injury after injury after injury. We're going to listen to Tata Martino first, very quickly, post-game against Sporting Kansas City, a 3-2 victory for Inter Miami. Talk about Jordi Alba's injury, the initial prognosis. But we're going to dive into the bigger picture as to what may be going on. So let's listen to Tata Martino first, and then we'll sink our teeth into our first topic.
El tema de Jordi todavía no he hablado con el departamento médico. Aparentemente hay un problema en el posterior, pero no quiero apresurarme con lo que vaya a decir porque no he hablado con el cuerpo médico.
Okay. Right hamstring injury is what Tata said. Now, Jose, what do you make of all these injuries? It's not the first time Inter Miami, under different coaches, have had a slew of injuries. Is it the warm weather? Are they being overtrained? What's happening?
Undertrained
Could it be undertraining? Because this is another muscle injury. This is not like, knee ligaments that, came off of a collision or a bad step. These are muscle injuries.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Explain to me and to the viewers and listeners what that might mean. Why is this happening so often for Inter Miami?
Well, my personal opinion, without being an expert, especially the injuries that we've seen lately, I think it relates to preseason. I don't think they had a proper preparation for the season, and they are starting to feel the after effects of not having a preseason like they did years before. So that would be my assumption. But I think, Franco, it is very important for the team to make the right person available so that we don't come to the podcast and tell people our opinion based on our experience from watching from the press box. there are there's a group, there's a staff within Inter Miami that is prepared to answer these questions. And I am sure, just like I do, that you get the same message right after you report an injury, which is they need to fire the fitness coach because he's not doing a good job, and that's why they're getting all the injuries. That might not be right, but the fan would only stop thinking that when the fitness coach, which is Rodolfo Palladini, which is a top consummated professional, can come out and explain a little bit of what's going on. Listen, he might not tell everything that we want to know, but he can give us an idea as to why they think, based on all the metrics that they get from every training session and from every game, as to why these things keep happening to Inter Miami players. So I think that's something that's required from the team. I personally made a request about this. We'll see where it goes, where it takes us. But I think it will be beneficial for everybody just to have the outlook of a professional, just like Rodolfo Palladini. Listen, he's been everywhere. He's not going to be scared of talking to the press. He's going to know exactly what to say and where he can stop or should stop. So I think more than anything, what we can say, I think this is really the time for the team to put the right persons available to talk to the media and answer a few questions. It's not going to be an hour-long session. It's going to be 10 to 15 minutes, and at least we'll have something to talk about that's based, like I said, on metrics, numbers.
So I agree with you, right? Because we've seen in other parts of the world, right? Like Peru's national team, when there's injuries, the team doctor comes out and will talk. The national team doctor will come out and talk and provide updates because it's his area of expertise. Like when we ask coaches, right, and they're the head of everything, so they relay the information, but they're relaying the information they're getting from the medical staff. It's not like the coach is like, oh, he has this type of injury and he's going to be out for this long because I know this from the top of my head. No, he gets that information from the medical staff, and obviously as the head figure operates within whatever those that timeline or those issues are. Now, it's not that common in MLS to hear from physical trainers or the athletic trainers. However, just because it's not the norm doesn't mean it can't happen.
Right.
And if Inter Miami is trying to be this international team that wants to push the envelope and wants to compete and win the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which they can't do this year, but they want to do that and go to the Club World Cup and they want to be the best team in this side of the hemisphere, then, I mean, it doesn't just come down to on the field. You can also do things away from the field that are maybe more progressive than other MLS teams to help bring insight and transparency, because the injuries are happening and people have questions as to why they're happening.
Right.
You know, is it poor training? Is it not enough training? Is it too much training? Is it the heat? Is it poor conditioning? Is it lack of preseason preparation? I mean, is it just bad luck? Which I can't imagine it's bad luck when you have this many injuries, right? Because, I mean, you go down the list of how many players have been injured already, and it's, what are we, not even a quarter of the way through the season or a quarter of the way through the season? I mean, Messi, Jordi Alba. I mean, Busquets took a hit in preseason. That was a hit. But, I mean, the list is long. Facundo Farias, he also took a hit. Sergi Christoph's been in and out of the injury report. Right now, you've got Leonardo Campana, Ian Frey, Robert Taylor. Benjamin Cremaschi just came back from an injury. You know, Federico Redondo's also injured, but he picked this up on international duty. But nonetheless, I mean, injuries are part of the game. But it seems like Inter Miami's tendency, especially this season, is that they've been picking up quite a few of them. And it would be nice, I agree with you, to be able to speak to the athletic trainer and get some insight as to why the team thinks it is. Now, listen, I worked with Peru's national team at the Copa America Centenario in 2016 when they were here in the United States. And I traveled with them. I ate with them. I was on the bus with them. I was behind the scenes. It was a very cool, eye-opening experience from a professional standpoint. Normally, we're on this side and we're doing the questions. I was behind the scenes, seeing how it all operates from within a team perspective. And during one of the meals, if I'm not mistaken, it was in Boston before Peru played Brazil. It was one of the team meals, and I ended up sitting by the team doctor, who I obviously knew from following the team. I didn't know him personally, but I knew who he was. And we started talking, and I told him that, here in the United States, I was a reporter, and I covered MLS and the U.S. men's national team, et cetera, et cetera. And then I asked him, I didn't want to be invasive because I'm not there to report. I was just making conversation. And I asked him something about like how, he does media sometimes. And his response was like, he like chuckled, and he's like, yeah, he's like, we lie sometimes.
Yes.
And that's fine. That's fine. But at least, he faces the music and talks. Like, I don't understand why the head coach has to be the only person that talks, and then Javi Morales, the assistant coach, once in a while when Tata Martino has muscular fatigue. I guess muscular fatigue. I don't know if that's the right word. Mouth fatigue. But nonetheless, yes, I agree with you. It would be nice to get some insight into what's going on. Because otherwise, we just leave it for pure speculation, pure just outside discourse, and a lot of questions.
Yeah, I think what we want is just a little bit of insight into the information that they are getting, because we like for me personally, I'm not going to go and ask him, are they playing this weekend, because we know what the answer to that will be. Tata will make the final decision, blah, blah, blah. Well, at least I would like to know is, from the information that they get, does that relate to the injuries, or the injuries are a separate topic? Those things he can answer without getting in trouble, without getting the team in trouble, compromising strategy, or anything, important really for, competition purposes. He could put out the information out there that we want so that the people outside, the fans, can actually understand what's going on. It could be, it's just way too many games. It could be, it's just any particular player, reacts differently. It could be a very simple answer, but, there's a lot of value into the fitness coach or trainer saying that in an interview, then, just the two of us here speculating as to what's going on. And this is how you usually get in trouble, because people might start digging and looking for information in the wrong place, and then a report comes out that it's not accurate, that the team's gonna hate, the team's not gonna like. But really, at the end of the day, if they didn't put out the right person to talk to the media, they are in a sense responsible for that information getting out there. So I think it's beneficial at this point, and it's early on in the season also.
I agree. I think it's overdue. I think it should become more of a normal occurrence in Major League Soccer, not just with Inter Miami. Like, again, the coach is just relaying information. He doesn't know necessarily specifics, right? Again, that's the area of expertise of the team doctor, the athletic trainer. I think that could change. I think it should change. I don't know if it will change anytime soon, but I agree with you that I think it should change. Carlos C in the comments section says mandibular fatigue, talking about Tata Martino when he decides to send Javi Morales.
Hopefully we never get that.
I don't think we do. I think we're immune to mandibular fatigue. I think we're just used to talking a whole lot here on the podcast. We have a comment from Rockefeller13 KFP Luchador. What's up from Colorado? We've got a phone from Colorado in the house. Okay. Kara is also back, and he says, what's up, Miami Total Football Radio? That's what's up. Juan Ango, maybe they should not go out so much on weekdays.
Well, probably. That's another thing.
It's possible. It's possible. It's not like they're being followed around by paparazzi in South Florida by and large. So unless you're Messi, right. But so who knows what they're doing during the weekdays? But anyway, all right. We'll talk about Jordi Alba's injury. What does it mean for Inter Miami? We don't expect him to play this weekend, right? Unless he shows up in training tomorrow, full session, which I can't imagine if he missed on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm speculating here again, but if he doesn't train tomorrow, then he's not playing on Saturday. He'll be ruled out, which is what I think we are both betting on. What does that mean for Inter Miami? Who steps in? Who steps up? I think it's a pretty easy answer.
Yeah, I think it's Franco Neri. I think it's Franco. Timing was just perfect, really, for Tata because, Franco just getting back into, having minutes, even starting. Yes, he did start one game, right? Yeah. Yes, I think he started one game. So, it works out perfectly for Tata. It's an easy transition to Franco Neri. Noah Allen might be available as well if needed, although Tata is going to have to backtrack on Noah Allen is a center
He's
back
a center
situation. But I think for now, it'll be Franco Neri. Look, I'll be surprised if Jordi Alba plays more than 2 games in June. I think that didn't look good. That didn't look good. And we have to get an update tomorrow because, of MLS rules.
Well, will we get Jose Cinco Island Jose? Will we get an update of he's out or he's questionable for the weekend, or will we get an actual timeline? I doubt we're going to get a timeline.
Wait, that's an easy answer as well. Have they? I don't think they have put out a Baptist Health report, have they? There you go.
No.
If they haven't, then they're due for a Baptist Health report, and usually a Baptist Health report is a little bit more than just the injury report that we see every Friday afternoon.
But not usually, if they do one, right? Because they're very selective when they do one. Like they'll do it here and there, right? Like Messi doesn't get a Baptist Health report.
Yeah.
We don't know about Messi's injury.
Yes. It's not included in their contract.
Other players do.
Other players get more.
Other players get the diagnosis. Other players get the the timeline for recovery. But I think when it comes to Jordi Alba, I don't think we'll get a timeline.
You don't think he's eligible for the Baptist Health?
I don't think so. I could be wrong. Maybe tomorrow, because Inter Miami does do this. We'll go to practice. We'll ask them whatever we got to ask them. We'll get a brief response or a vague response, and then they'll put out the release hours later so that they're the ones breaking the news or revealing the news, and they get all the clicks and all the views and all the eyeballs.
I think we'll get it tomorrow. I think Jordi is eligible for the Baptist Health report.
But that'll happen. But I'm asking you at practice tomorrow, because we have availability with Tata Martino. Will we get an update more than whether he's available or not? Will we get a timeline for his injury from Tata Martino tomorrow at practice?
Yeah, I think we will. I think the Baptist Health report will come out around 8:30 a.m. And then we'll talk to Tata at 9. And then Tata will be able to elaborate a little bit, which you didn't expect a lot. He's going to probably say, yeah, it's going to be out for 3 weeks. The same thing that we will probably read in the press release. But I do expect, for them to come out with something with Jordi Alba, because Jordi, he's part of the Cuatro Fantásticos. So I don't
think they do it, man. I don't think they do it. I think they would have done it by now. Why wait till Friday just to give Nashville SC one less day of preparation for Jordi Alba to play or not, when it's like pretty clear that he's not going to play? I mean, listen, to be fair, Inter Miami was on a recent 5-game losing streak across all competitions, and they went back to that cheap lineup graphic without a formation trick that they used to do under Phil Neville. Like they got to wait. They were at the beginning of the season, they were putting the formation with the players, and it was like a sight for sore eye. It was a welcome change. We wanted to see the team in its formation. It's an hour before kickoff. Like, what's the big surprise? You're going to see it anyway. But as soon as they hit this 5-game losing streak, they reversed course and went back to this lineup graphic of no formation and just a bunch of names in random order, which, it speaks to the decisions that are being made at a higher level when things aren't going too well. I know you got to win all the little battles, but that one seems very silly to me, especially if you're trying to be the elite team.
Yeah,
in Major League Soccer.
I don't think you should. You should rely on stuff like that when you have Messi on your team in MLS. But who knows? Maybe that's not the case. Maybe that's not the case. But regardless, I think we need to get an update, a real update on Jordi. I think we need that.
So you think we get a Baptist Health report, and you think Tata will? Obviously, if we get a Baptist Health report, then Tata's gonna say that he's out for X amount of weeks.
Yeah, I think that, and if not, listen, we kind of have to push Tata, to give us something out of Jordi. It can't. It will be,
it's on us. It's on us.
Yeah, no, it really is on us.
People put pressure on us. Make sure we ask the right questions tomorrow. If we don't ask the right questions, hold us to the flame or put the torches to our necks, because we gotta ask the right questions tomorrow. Anyway, back to Franco Negri. I agree. He's the next man up, and I think he's ahead of Noah Allen in terms of depth chart at left back now that he's healthy. And look, I've liked what I've seen from him in the short appearances he's had this season since returning from the injury. I think he brings a different dimension, a little bit more I don't know how I want to say this. A little more direct. He can combine. He's technical, but he's a little more direct and a little more. Doesn't look to combine as much. He can combine, but he doesn't look to combine as much as Jordi Alba. He's a little more like, all right, taking players on one-on-one. I like what I've seen from him so far. I mean, I like what I saw from him last week before the injury. He was scoring a couple goals from the left back spot, and I think this will be a good opportunity for him to stake his claim for more minutes, even when Jordi Alba comes back. I'm not saying he's going to bench Jordi Alba, but find a way to get into that team some way, shape, or form, whether it's in a more advanced position or whatnot. Because if he can play to the level I think he's capable of, then it's going to be really hard to keep him off the field when Jordi Alba returns, whenever that is. Now, Jordi Alba's out. Franco Negri steps in. Well, I know it depends on the game-by-game situation. I know it depends on availability, but is it a back four, Jose, or is it a back five? Línea de cuatro, línea de cinco.
Yeah, I was I'm in the process of writing a column for Deporte Total, and that's one of the topics. That's one of the topics that I have for this team in the next few weeks, because now there's no pressure, really, pressure of any competition, because MLS at this point, you're not going to decide the league or if you're in a playoff spot in the next 2 or 3 months. So you have plenty of time. Leagues Cup, it's not really a priority this year, and when it comes, it comes, and it's not something of concern right now. So for me, Franco, I think this is the time where Tata really needs to settle down and figure things out with this team. They need to find a way to perform without Messi, and they need to find a way to have a solid formation that they can rely on. I don't think Inter Miami should be a team that depends on the opponent to determine if they are going to play with a back four or a back five. I think they need to have a system in place that their players feel comfortable with. If Inter Miami players, talking about the big names, are comfortable with a formation, they know exactly what they need to do, they will win games in MLS. So this back and forth with formations, back four, back three, back five, five in the middle, three in the middle, 4-4-2. I mean, that's not for Inter Miami.
It's very Phil Neville-esque.
Yes.
Phil Neville was worse, though. But Phil Neville would se inventaba unas cosas, hermano. Phil Neville would make the WM formation, the 3-2-2-3. He would play like every different type of formation possible. Like literally every formation possible in the book, even the rarely seen 3-2-2-3 with this box midfield, you almost never see that. And Phil Neville would bring that out of his bag of tricks sometimes. I'm surprised that Tata has rotated his formation as much, because I'm of the belief, look, they're just philosophies, it's just thoughts. Different coaches do it differently. Some coaches do it better than others, depending on which philosophy they go with. There's some coaches that doesn't matter the formation, they expect the team to play well, and sometimes the teams do. Now, there's different thought, different belief, different philosophy that if you're constantly rotating, that doesn't lead for a whole lot of familiarity in terms of roles, in terms of movements, and that can be a detriment to the team. Again, different philosophies, different thought processes, depends on your viewpoint and how you view the beautiful game. But I'm with you that I think familiarity breeds confidence. And I think that Inter Miami has lacked that. Now, I don't blame it all on Tata. I think, with the injuries and with the absences and with the players available, I think at times by necessity, he's had to change it, because he can't play the way he wants to play with the players he has had sometimes.
But he struggles with the back five.
I mean,
the lone game that they were successful with the back five was the Orlando City game, which, by the way, that day Julian Gressel played, out of this world.
Game of the season.
It's something that probably is not going to happen again this year. But other than that game, it really hasn't worked. The four-man back line, they play a lot better freely. They score more, and again, they'll be playing in MLS for the rest of the year. So
and Leagues Cup. Don't forget about Leagues Cup. The MLS made sure to make all MLS teams. Yes. I gotta rip MLS here, but they made sure that all MLS teams tweeted out on their social, their X accounts, or formerly known as Twitter. I don't know if it made it to Instagram, but all MLS teams had to tweet out 100 days and counting until Leagues Cup, and had to promote it and whatever, man, whatever.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I agree with you. I think they should stick with the back four as much as they can. Again, I'm not gonna be so extremist here to say that it has to be a back four every single game, especially if they don't have the players available. Maybe the matchup is better
what do
in
you
the back
really
five.
fear in MLS? I mean, who do you fear? If you have Luis Suarez, Messi, and Busi, I mean, who do you fear playing a four-man backline? They have enough. I mean, Ryan Saylor is good enough for a game or two. You know, if you want him to play for the full season, then you might be in trouble. You know, you're going to concede more goals. At this point, you know, he might get better. By the way, he might get better. I think Ryan Saylor might not be a top center back in the league, but he's reliable. I mean, if you compare him to some of the center backs that Inter Miami had before, like Mavica, I think Ryan Saylor is
solid.
He's good. He's good.
Serviceable. Can do a job.
He'll do the job. So, I mean, I can trust Ryan Saylor to play in MLS. So, I think Noah Allen, even though he's playing out of position as a center back, I think in MLS he'll do fine. Plus, if you have Messi, look, you're not going to be that concerned about the back line because
I don't know, man. I don't know if I agree with that.
Look,
I don't
but if
agree
you
with
concede
that.
2 goals, Messi will score 3. I mean, Suarez
Will
will
he,
score
though?
2.
Will he?
Messi will
Not
score
always.
2. It'll be 4 goals, and you'll win the game. If it doesn't happen for a week or two, you'll be fine. You'll still be at the top of the standings. I mean, it's MLS. They will be successful in MLS, but I think they need to be more than a team that wins every now and then with a spectacular goal from Messi or from Suarez. I think at this point they need to bring a different brand of football to MLS. They need to play well. They need to make people want to tune in every weekend because they just dominate the league. It's not a situation where Messi scores a goal and Suarez scores a goal and they win 2-0 because of 2 moments within the game. I think they need to put a full performance out there consistently.
Yeah, but it's hard to do, brother.
They have the talent to do that. And now they have the time. I'm not telling you that that's going to happen this weekend, but right now, Franco, they don't have a lot of pressure. They will probably continue to win games without having a good performance.
Look, I think
2 months from now, they need to be in a spectacular team.
Look, again, in a league where there's a salary cap and a salary budget and you can't just litter your roster with talent, I think it's tough to do. Not impossible. It's not impossible, but it's tough to do. And I was going to tweet this on this past Saturday in Inter Miami's game versus Sporting Kansas City. I had it ready. I was about to hit submit, and Inter Miami scored. So I left it as a draft. I tweeted about the goal, and I left it there. I think, and I've talked about this before, and I think you're in agreement, the loss of Federico Redondo to that midfield has hurt them tremendously in their ability to build out and play a free-flowing, possession-based, knock the ball around nicely and beautifully style of football. They lost the other player that can help build through the lines because Busquets gets shadowed every game. The opposing teams know, stop Busquets, you're going to give Inter Miami a harder time, and they're going to have a tougher time beating you. Doesn't mean Inter Miami can't beat you, but it's going to be tougher for them to beat you. And that's where Federico Redondo was very, very instrumental upon his arrival because he was another player, obviously not as clean as Busquets in the build-out, but that gave him that possibility, that gave him that option. Without him in there, you're relying on Julian Gressel, who I think we both agree has been very underwhelming this season, that Orlando City performance aside. I think he's been very underwhelming. You got David Ruiz. Benjamin Kremaski's back from injury.
Benja's help. Benja is a lot of help.
But he's not a player that's going to help you with the build-out, though. He's not that clean on the ball.
He's
good at turning.
He was good.
He's good at penetrating with the ball, but he's not necessarily the cleanest passer, especially from deeper positions where it's more crowded. Right. It's not necessarily his forte. And I think without Fede Redondo, I think Inter Miami loses a lot. And until he's healthy and back again, and hopefully for Inter Miami's sake, Busquets is also there, then I think it's going to be up and down. Unless someone steps up. But I think it's a big loss. And I think that's hurt them. Nonetheless, I agree with you. I think we should see a back four more consistently. However, we'll see how it goes. It depends. Hey, man, if we get more Baptist health reports, then they might have to stick with the back five. Maybe they go to a back six because they just don't have – it'll be like 6 people, Suarez and Messi in 2 minutes.
Right. But if you go back to last year in Leagues Cup, the team was fun to watch. You know, it was. I think
There was a lot of
especially-
excitement though because Messi had just arrived too.
No,
And
right,
everyone
but
wanted to see.
yeah, but the way they came back in some of the games, I think that team was a lot of fun to watch. And I think since Leagues Cup, the team has been inconsistent for most of the time. You know, obviously the end of the season last year wasn't great. You know, this year off to a good start. Then 5 games in a row where they can't win. You know, we obviously know what happens in Champions Cup. That's why I think this is the time. They need to settle down, get to work, find a way to figure a formation where everybody feels comfortable with. Ideally, I think it's a back four. That's where you start. And, maybe the next step as well would be what's going to happen when Messi's not here. I think that's obviously another talking point, which we've seen it throughout, I think since Messi's arrival. It's a completely different team when he's not available. That's also something that they can figure out. And this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it.
Tony X says they were completely injury-free during Leagues Cup. That is the biggest difference. It's a fair point.
Yeah, it's a fair point. But still, I think they have enough. For MLS, I think they have enough. For MLS, because you can, in MLS, you don't have to win every single game. You can go on the road, even with Messi, and, lose a game here and there, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. But now they don't have any pressure. They even if they have a midweek game, there's not a lot of pressure into it, so you can really concentrate on really building a solid team. That's why I'm telling you, in 2 months, 2.5, and I expect this team to play at a much higher level.
Well, Inter Miami, we're going to look back before we look forward. Inter Miami, currently, Jose, even with their inconsistencies, is in first place of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Now, they have played one more match, or in some cases 2 more matches than a lot of the other teams. But nonetheless, right now, they are tied for first, but they are in possession of first place with a 4-win, 3-draw, and 2-loss record. They have 15 points. They are even with the New York Red Bulls with point total. Inter Miami scored 19 goals. They've given up 14, so it's a +5 goal differential. In MLS, hasn't been pretty, hasn't been great throughout, but up till now, they are doing what they're expected to do, and that's be at the top of the table. Not as maybe as beautifully or as pretty as you would like, not convincingly as you would like. Again, we've talked about the injuries, talked about things that have happened. They were playing Champions Cup, clearly focused on that, and not playing their best weapons or their best players there. So that's definitely taken a part into the regular season. The regular season and the record. So all the same, they're still in first place, tied for first in the East. And they were missing Messi for a bit as well. So
right,
they get a passing grade. They get a passing grade.
Absolutely,
now,
absolutely.
They got back to winning ways. First win in 6 matches across all competitions this past weekend, with a 3-2 victory over Sporting Kansas City in front of, I think it was 70,000 plus fans, or that was the announced crowd at Arrowhead Stadium. The NFL stadium was home to Futbol, the right Futbol, soccer, this past weekend. And this was the game. Inter Miami gave up an early goal, 6-minute goal. But Diego Gomez came back and equalized in the 18th minute. Inter Miami then takes the lead through a Lionel Messi golazo. What a hit. We'll talk about it. In the 51st. But they give up an equalizer 7 minutes later. It's 2-2. It's all up for grabs. And then in the 71st minute, Luis Suarez finishes at the doorstep very easily thanks to some fantastic work from Diego Gomez. Now, Jose, we tend to talk a lot, and with right reason, about Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Jordi Alba, Tata Martino. Los Cuatro Fantásticos, the Fantastic Four, and the head coach. Before we get to Messi and Suarez and their impact in this game, I think we should start with Diego Gomez because he had a very good performance. And if he didn't have those teammates that he has and their big names and their impact, he would be talked about more. But because he's in their shadow in terms of the media spotlight, he doesn't get talked about enough. But anyone who's really paying attention, and European scouts are really paying attention, know that he, since the beginning of the year, during Paraguay's Preolímpico title and qualification, that he's been playing tremendously. Last year when he got here, he was very lukewarm. Some moments where he showed flashes, but overall subpar. Left with dejó con un sabor, like that. You needed more. You needed more. And look, it happens when you come from foreign league. Even the top players in Europe, when they've come, sometimes they don't hit the ground running. It takes some time to get used to it. But this season, he's been tremendous for Inter Miami. He was tremendous on Saturday. I asked Tata Martino after the victory about Diego Gomez's performance and how that will increase the interest and the eyeballs that are on him from across the pond. This is what Tata Martino said about Diego Gomez this past Saturday.
Bueno, creo que el aporte de Diego es superlativo para el equipo. En la noche de hoy fue definir un pase gol de Leo, ir al espacio y definir, el pase gol a Luis, después de una recuperación, todo lo que trabaja en recuperar pelotas. La verdad es que para nosotros hoy inclusive ha jugado en una posición un poco más adelantada, lo ha hecho casi como un extremo izquierdo, entrando bastante y se acomodó muy bien a ese lugar y encontró muchas pelotas en las espaldas de los volantes rivales. Él cada vez va entendiendo más el juego y después las condiciones las tiene, tanto física como futbolística. Y sí, creo que, como decís vos, ¿no? Es un jugador que ya ha llamado la atención en Europa y seguramente lo seguirá haciendo.
Jose, you're on translation duty for that one because that was longer, 54 seconds. So just a quick summary for the English speakers and listeners, brother.
I'm the worst translator. I need a script to translate.
Just paraphrase it. I mean, he talked about what of a good game he had, that, he played a different position than in the midfield. He played more advanced in this one. He was playing on the left wing, and he did a good job of, making runs in behind the back shoulders of defenders. That's how his second goal comes. By the way, Julian Gressel plays a very good ball with his outside part of his right foot, if I'm not mistaken. It's a bit awkward. I think he forced it because he didn't want to use his left, but it's a good pass all the same. Messi then, with his tremendous vision and perfection of a well-weighted through ball, finds Diego Gomez's immaculately timed diagonal run, which Diego Gomez heads up, saw the space, reacted quickly, took it, gets the pass, and then he finishes clinically low and away, and that got Inter Miami on the board. And then that goal was, overall was nice and it was stupendous. Diego Gomez's contributions on that goal were fantastic, but his contributions on the game winner, which is not as pretty of a goal, I think were even more important because he presses high late in the game or later in the game, and he wins the ball high up the field, runs towards the goal from the left flank, and then not only has the awareness, but has the technical ability and the execution to hit a well-weighted low cross to the back post for Luis Suarez to tap it in.
Yeah.
I mean, Luis Suarez will get the credit for the game winner, but Diego Gomez authored that game winner.
Yeah.
He was big in this game. He's had a very good season for Inter Miami. Tata Martino at the end, acknowledging what I said in the question, that this will surely continue to raise interest in the Paraguayan midfielder. I mean, what have you thought about his season? And is it likely that he leaves this summer? What do you think?
Well, I don't think he'll leave this summer. I think he'll probably leave at the end of the year. But I don't think it's going to happen this summer. But I'll tell you what. I was hugely disappointed with Diego Gomez last year. I think, what I saw from him last year was not good at all. Was not good at all. The effort was there, but, it did seem like he was playing at a different speed than the rest of the team. I don't know what happened, but, in the offseason, he did realize what he needed to do. And I think the national team helped him a lot. So when he came back, and remember that Diego missed all preseason, I think it did, right?
Most of
Maybe
it, yeah.
all of it, most of it. And that's impressive as well. He was able to come in and know exactly what his role was. I think, more than, the third goal, I think the first goal was very impressive to me. Very, very impressive. I am look, I love.
It shows a lot of soccer IQ, a lot of soccer savviness, right?
I love
good, buena lectura
right.
del juego. Very good reading of the game in that moment, which you
I
don't always
love
see in MLS.
no, and I love to see players, move without the ball. I think that tells me when a player really understands what he needs to do. He understands his teammates and knows what his role is. And he showed me that. He knows exactly what he wants to do, what he needs to do for this team. The movement without the ball in that goal was just outstanding. That was very, very impressive. And yeah, the finish also. And then on the Suarez goal, I think it's more an effort play. It's a great play, but it's an effort play, and that's what I expect from him.
But in the 71st minute, Jose,
I mean, he's young. He's young, but I think it's a great play.
young players get tired
play.
too, my friend.
Yeah, but I mean, I expect him. Look. He puts out a very good shift in every game, so I kind of come to expect that from Diego Gomez, and that's praise right there. Because yeah, you're right. You're 20 minutes away from the end of the match, and yet you expect him to play with that intensity. I think that's what I expect from him. So he did set the bar pretty high. So I think that's a great effort play. But the understanding in that first goal was just something very, very impressive. And listen, I think he still has room to grow.
Right.
And that's why he needs to leave this year, because he can't be that player that stays in MLS way too long, because he needs to go to a higher level.
But that's where it gets tricky, Jose. That's where it gets tricky, because it's not like Inter Miami just makes a decision to sell him or not. Like Inter Miami could want to sell him, but if MLS doesn't want to sell him because they don't get the number that they want,
he's not leaving.
Then he doesn't leave, and then it becomes a messy affair, for lack of a better word.
Look, every time I get a question from, player, agent, or anybody about coming to MLS, the first thing that I usually tell them is, where do you want to go? And if you want to go someplace else after MLS in the short time, you better make sure you know your way out. If you don't know your way out, you're in trouble.
If you sign one of those deals that come with team options for 4 seasons after it expires, you have just screwed yourself big time. If you are a young player, eres un jugador joven de Sudamérica, estás viendo este programa, if you're watching the show, do not sign a contract with multiple team options. No firmen contratos con opciones de varios años, because you will get stuck in MLS longer than you will want to. Te vas a quedar en la MLS más tiempo de lo que quisieras. So just beware of that, because MLS has this affinity and this fascination with team options, which I don't even know if it's technically I don't know if I say the word legal, but I don't know if it's allowed in by FIFA guidelines, which is why you see some players leave anyway, and then they go play for some other team, and MLS gets mad and throws a hissy fit, and there's this whole public ordeal. I mean, it's happened multiple times. We could name a bunch of players, but Kyle Laren's one of them, Camilo Zambeso, Kaku Romero, the Red Bulls. There's been different examples of this throughout MLS's history. But anyway, I mean, I think he could leave this summer, man. If he keeps playing at this level, I think he could leave this summer. Now, the deal's going to have to be really sweet for him to leave this summer. Yeah. I do think that if he stays healthy and he stays at this level, like I don't think he lasts. I think 2024 is his last season with Inter Miami. I just don't see him sticking around, because he's young, got promise, he's an international, he's experienced. There's a lot to like there. There's a lot of qualities there. Tata talks about his technical abilities and his physical abilities and his reading of the game, his understanding of the game. So, I mean, there's a lot to like there. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves by the summer. That's going to take a sweet deal, but I think it's possible he leaves this summer, but I think it's definite that he leaves by the end of the year. And then Inter Miami's going to have made good business. They brought him in a year and a half, sent him somewhere else, which is a good selling point for the next batch of youngsters that they want to recruit. Also will help bring in some money, of course, for the team. So it's a good bit of business, but they'll have to find a way to replace him. Before you chime in there, I want to give the comment section a chance to give Diego Gomez his flowers. Tank721 says Gomez is our dog. Hashtag Gregory Who. God, that says Gomez, if he was better on the ball, he'd be in Europe already. John Rollins says, no habla español. Okay, John Rollins. John Rollins also no escribe español because he wrote habla wrong. You forgot the H. My friend. He also don't write in Spanish either. No, just kidding. Shout out to John, a friend of the show. Who else? Tony Axe says, Gomez is still a bit raw for Europe. Another year with the Barker boys would do him a world of good. We've got Possum back in the comment section just saying, sup. Oh, wait, I clicked the wrong button. But there's Possum saying sup. Skrilla, if they sell Gomez, I think they're going to send another offer for Medina.
Well, the one reason that I think Gomez is not leaving over the summer, it's because, Inter Miami is going to want him to play Copa or the Olympics. And most likely, he'll put out a good performance, whether he plays Copa or the Olympics. Then the price gets a little bit higher if you perform on those type of events, and offers might be looking a lot different than what they are right now.
Well, if he plays Copa, that's in June, right? Yeah. And in July he could be sold, go to a team in preseason, and start the European season over there. I mean, it could.
Yeah, happen. But it takes time. Those negotiations are not going to happen, overnight.
Yeah, but they're probably already happening.
It's going to take.
They're already happening. Because Tata has already mentioned that European teams. Before asking this question, that's why I asked the question. He had mentioned weeks ago that there's a lot of eyeballs on Diego Gomez.
So that's the one thing that makes me believe that he'll leave at the end of the year. Plus, it's going to be the winter there, so he's going to have some time.
Know, man. I don't know. For a midfielder like him, right? Is he a type of player that teams in Europe are going to really spend a whole lot of money on mid-season? I think they'd spend money for him at the beginning of the season when they're prepared for the year. I don't think mid-season, you're going to break the bank. I don't know if they're going to break the bank, but you're going to spend a whole lot of money on a midfielder.
But he's not going to go to. I think he's good, but he's not ready to go to one of the top teams.
No, of course not. But he can still go to Europe.
Yeah, but he's going to go to a team where he can contribute. I mean, if you were thinking about the big names, of course not, but. Maybe a team in the Premier League in the lower part of the standings, they might need some help, some energy. They might be fighting for relegation, and having Gomez over might be a different type of outlook for the midfield, and that could be the case. Even though it's mid-season, you're just trying to, continue to play in the Premier League. So, I mean, it could happen. It could happen over the summer as well. But I'm more inclined to think that it's going to happen at the end of the year. Plus, I think if it's, I think it's just too soon for Inter Miami to let him go. It's going to have to be a very, very good offer, very, very good offer to let him go over the summer.
We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Very quickly before we wrap up the talking point on this game. What was your biggest takeaway from the win against Sporting Kansas City? We saw the Messi golazo, a hell of a finish, another golazo to add to his highlight reel from distance, had just enough space, took advantage of it, hits a magnificent left-footed strike that stings into the back of the net to make it 2-1 for Inter Miami at that time. Messi again involved. He gets an assist. He gets a goal. Diego Gomez, an equalizing goal temporarily and a game-winning assist. Big contributions from the two players. Luis Suarez with the game-winning goal. What do you think of this game? What do you think of Inter Miami getting back to winning ways? Actually, before we hear from you, we're going to hear from Tata Martino one more time because he called this victory essential. I said it in Spanish, but he said this was essential for them to end that bad run of form. This was Tata after the
Bueno, la realidad es que se tornaba imprescindible ganar el partido de esta noche. Y además recuperar un poco esa sensación de que el equipo puede ganar. En las últimas semanas, por diferentes circunstancias, nosotros no habíamos podido ganar. Y hemos recuperado en una semana difícil esta posibilidad y además creo que redondeando un buen partido. Eso es lo más importante del triunfo. Y la realidad es que tenemos un partido de más, pero vernos primero en la tabla también es algo que reconforta y sobre todo ahora que viene una semana larga, ¿no?
Jose, translation?
No.
Anti-translation, Jose. Anti-translation, Jose.
You're the official translator of this pod. presented
I
by.
have to focus more if I'm going to do a full chess. He talked about how important it was to win. Again, he called it essential, especially after the week that they had and the fact that they were going into a proper week of preparation for this next game. So he said it's also good to look at the table and see that you're in first place. So it was a needed win for Inter Miami. It was a needed win. It was needed. I don't know if it was a must win, but it was.
It's not.
It was needed for the confidence in the group to put the CONCACAF Champions Cup's bitter taste behind them and start looking towards the regular season.
But it was needed for what, really? I mean, for what? I mean, if they ended up tying that game, you know, they're going to have another game next weekend, a home game. They win against Nashville, and so be it. Everything back to normal. So I think he's just hyping up the result because, you know, he gets the win and, you know, he wants a little bit of more praise, which I agree that he should get. I mean, it was not an easy week, but, I mean, I don't think it was that big a deal to win that game.
Kana says, come on, PS5 Jose, you hope you're not the silent friend on voice chat PSN. I don't really know what that means. I know it's about PlayStation Network, but I don't really get what he's trying to say. But anyway, listen, it was a good win for Inter Miami. I thought that they should have won a little more comfortably, given the talent that they had on the field. But listen, they went on the road, and they got a big victory. 3 points on the road in MLS. Not always the easiest thing to come by. I know Inter Miami has a different roster with Los Cuatro Fantásticos, so we gauge them or assess them at a different level. But good for Inter Miami to go on the road and find a way to get it done. Find a way to get it done and to bring 3 points back home and to get some confidence back in the group. Rejuvenate the mood in the locker room. Jose. But Tata too, man. Tata was, a lot of criticism for Tata in recent weeks. So.
I think Tata, I think he's still on thin ice. I think, this team needs to perform a lot better. And he needs to find a way to figure out the formation. And I'll tell you what, Franco, I think Chelo, look, I still believe Chelo is an upgrade over Yedlin.
I agree with that. I fully agree with that.
But Chelo is not doing enough for me. He's not doing enough. Big mistake.
Give it some time, man.
I agree. Right now, he's not doing enough. I still believe he's an upgrade over Yedlin. But right now, he's just not doing enough for me. Other than that, I think the team performed just okay. And I think just okay for this team with the talent that they have is enough to win games in MLS. But I just want more. I just want more from this team.
Oh, absolutely. There's definitely more to be had from this team. And hopefully, at some point, they can get mostly healthy and we can see as close to the best version of this team as possible and see what that team is capable of. I'm not saying they're going to be 100% healthy because injuries happen. There's already injuries that will carry through the rest of the season. But as close to 100% healthy as possible so that we can see the best iteration of this team and what it's really capable of at MLS levels. Gala explains himself here in the comment section for you, Jose. It means Jose does not talk to people on voice chat when everyone else is. LOL. All love, Jose. By the way, speaking of
I talk to people. We've played together. Did you get a headset since the last time that we played?
I use these bad boys. No, I use these bad boys.
Yeah, so it's very annoying. Don't play with Franco. Have him buy some headsets.
Maybe I'll start. I forget what it's called. I try not to charge people or ask people for money, but we'll start one of those things on YouTube where you can donate some money, and maybe I'll use that for my headset. Tank721 says, "I don't miss Yedlin at all. Chelo is just getting in form." I agree. I think he's getting his understanding. He's getting used to the league. Look, it's clear. I think it's clear. And Skrilla here says, "I think this Saturday Chelo is going to have a good game." I think it's clear that for Chelo, Marcelo again, he's still adapting to the league. And listen, it clearly, physically, from a physical standpoint, he's a downgrade from DeAndre Yedlin, right? But from a de manera futbolística, he's much better. He's an upgrade. He can knock the ball around. He's more technical, can combine. Yeah. Now, that being said, this team, because they become more possession-oriented and trying to play that style, they have become a bit more limited physically, right? They don't have as many, fast players or super strong players, right? It's more of a team that's built to keep the ball on the ground, which again, it's all about style and preference and, your way of viewing the game. I don't have a problem. I prefer seeing a team that keeps the ball on the ground and tries to play attractive brand. I personally prefer, that's just my personal preference. But in MLS, where the league is very, very physical, the physical attributes tend to outshine the technical attributes, unless you have the special number 10s on certain teams. I mean, at some points, it's going to hurt you. At some point, it's going to hurt you. And I think in Inter Miami's case, at some point, it does hurt them because they look a little slower. They don't have the speed to maybe get back and make some plays. They don't have the endurance at some points, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, Inter Miami, all that said, even with their weaknesses and their deficiencies and the injuries, still in first place in the Eastern Conference. Heading into this weekend's game against Nashville SC. At home at Chase Stadium on Saturday night, a rematch of the CONCACAF Champions Cup round of 16, I think, series.
Yes. And
the Leagues Cup final from last year. There's certainly some bad blood between these two teams. I won't call them a rivalry, but there's definitely, some ill will. It's not just any other matchup. That being said, Jose, the Inter Miami's at home. Jordi Alba, we expect to be out. Franco Negri, we expect to come in. I won't ask you for the lineup just yet. I will ask you, what do you expect from Inter Miami this Saturday? Are they cruising to another victory?
Yeah, I think they'll win that game. I mean, I think with Messi fully fit, with Suarez available, Busi also, they will play freely. I think this will probably be the first game in a while where they really don't have a lot of pressure. They can really set up a game plan and execute it without thinking, this might be the end of the road in this tournament, or we're struggling because we haven't been able to win in 5 games, or we are on the road in front of 70,000 fans, which probably 30,000 were Messi fans, but, okay. I think they're just going to win their game. Everything is in their favor. I think Nashville as well, it's going to be a defensive-minded team like they always are. It's just if they get an early goal, it might get ugly. So I don't see a way in which Nashville can take 3 points from Inter Miami on Saturday.
Inter Miami's played Nashville twice this year, again, both in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, a 2-2 draw away at Nashville, and then a 3-1 victory for Inter Miami at home. That one they pretty much cruised to the finish line. I would expect them to win this one fairly easily. Maybe another 3-goal outing for Inter Miami, 3-1, 3-0. I expect them to win. Carlos C here in the comment section says, I feel kind of bad for Nashville. We've ended 3 cup runs for them in the past 9 months. Gala says, Nashville has Zimmerman back, but overall Nashville are not as good this year. They're not as good this year. Zimmerman will be a plus. I talked about it before that before the Champions Cup match, that he was a big loss. Holt and Andrea were completely confused by that and said, no way, et cetera, et cetera. But he will help Nashville SC. He will help Nashville SC. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a headed goal on a set piece this weekend to give them some life. But nonetheless, I fully expect Inter Miami to take care of business and maintain that spot atop the Eastern Conference. All right, very quickly, Jose, because we both expect them to win. Starting line. First, you're going to give me a back 4 or back 5. Not what you would do, what you think. Back 4 or back 5?
Back 4. I think he'll go with a back 4. I think there's no reason for him to go with a back 5. I think he has enough players now, especially
goalkeeper.
With Benja. Come on.
Trey Callan,
of course.
Let's go through it. Come on. Yeah. So I don't want to pass an hour and 10 minutes. Goalkeeper.
Yeah, Trey
Callan.
Sure.
All right,
yes.
Back 4. Chelo Weigand.
Yeah. Toto.
Thomas Aviles.
Yeah.
Nicolas Freire.
And Negri.
And Franco Negri.
Yeah.
Then, an all-Argentine backline.
Right, yeah.
There it is.
That's Inter Miami right now.
The midfield. What do you think? 4-3-3? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 4-3-3. Yeah.
Okay. Who's the midfield 3? Busquets?
Busi for sure. I think Benja might get a start. I think this could be the time.
In place of who?
Well, here's where I wished
you're gonna say you wish it was Gressel, but you think Gressel's gonna start.
Yeah, but Gressel will obviously start. I think this Gressel is very close to getting number 10 in this team, taking it away from Messi, according to Tata. So So yeah, Gressel will start. I think Benja will get the start, and Boosie, and then
I agree with you. We're in agreement. I think it's going to be Busi, Gressel, and then Benjamin Cremasi comes in for David Ruiz. And then up top, it has to be the same, right? Messi, Suarez, Diego Gomez.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we're in agreement.
I feel comfortable with that lineup, and this is, and going back to my previous point, I think this is something that I would expect moving forward from Inter Miami. That we know the lineup they're going to put out there. The teams know the lineup that they're going to put out there.
Que es un tipo de sacar de memoria, because it's a team that
Right.
you can rattle off from just your sheer memory. That you know who's going to start this weekend because that's the team they start almost every single game.
Right, but they are so good, and they know exactly what they want to do, what they need to do, that even if the opponent knows the lineup since Monday, they still can't find a way to beat them. I think that should be the goal for Tata Martino in the next 2 months.
Speaking of Benjamin Cremasi, let's hear from him very quickly. He talked about his return from injury after the match against Sporting Kansas City and his first appearance back off the bench in this game. This is what he had to say after the game.
Yeah, it was tough. Obviously, undergoing surgery is not easy, but it was necessary. I was in a lot of pain, but I'm happy that I'm back. Happy that I played that game to prepare for first team games, and I'm just glad to be back on the field.
Jose, translate in Spanish.
No.
Just kidding. All right, well, yes, we both think Benjamin Cremasi gets his first start of the season. We think he comes back into the lineup. Curious to see how he does. Again, not the best with the build-out, but he should give him some energy and some more work rate in there. And again, I think Inter Miami wins this one. So maybe he gets on the score sheet, or maybe he gets an assist. All right, Jose, before we wrap up the show, last question for you. At the last home game, Inter Miami had Daddy Yankee in the stands, the big boss. At the most recent game in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium, Patrick Mahomes was in attendance, the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback.
And Messi had no idea who he was. No idea.
Yes, you did. Wait, you or Andrea?
Messi had no idea who he was.
Oh, I don't know. Andrea. Some Inter Miami players took pictures with him and posted on the social media.
Yeah.
All the same, who is your prediction for the celebrity sighting? We always get at least one. Who will it be? Just give me a random name. Just throw it out there. Let's have some fun.
For Saturday? Oh, you really put me in the spot, right? I mean, I've been expecting Shakira for a while. So
she's not messing around, man. Coming around to see the Barca boys, bro. She has no business with that. No business with that.
Why? I mean, she knows Antonella, right? She's friends with Antonella. Plus, she's promoting her song, like the Cardi B song. Andres listening to that all day long. So
that must be fun for you.
I mean, I know some of the songs already. I know more Shakira songs from the new album than Faye songs.
Ya comenzaste with the fade disparaging. With the fade slander, bro. Look, I'm wearing green too. Modo Fercho here on the show. Come on, man. Come on, Jose. Don't do that to me. Don't troll me, bro. Don't get me started.
Don't get me started. It's really my fault. We went from the real stuff from Daddy Yankee to the Fercho.
By the way,
on me.
Juan Arango says she doesn't like Anto and Anto doesn't like her. Tony X said Anto and Shakira don't get along. Come on, Jose. Get your pop culture knowledge
there you
together,
go. Don't trust
man.
me. Don't trust me with that stuff. I have no idea. I thought they were
You're the anti Diego Gomez diagonal run when it comes to pop culture. Like, as magnificent as that is, you're the complete opposite when it comes to pop culture.
I really thought they were friends. Oh, wow.
Kyle says, I'm going to take a shot and say Enrique Iglesias. Okay. All right. You have to like think about the events that might be happening and who might be in town for marketing reasons for whatever else. And they make an appearance or they get an invite. It's really hard to say. I'm just going to throw out any old name out there. And some people aren't going to like this. And I'm being facetious here, tongue in cheek. Jimmy Butler, because I don't think the Miami Heat are getting through tomorrow night, unfortunately. And, the offseason will begin in earnest for the Miami Heat. Unfortunately, I'm a big Miami Heat fan. So it's tough to watch.
Boosie will be there tomorrow, I'm sure.
It's tough to watch the game. It's tough to watch the game yesterday. You seen Jimmy go down with the MCL injury, man. It sucks, man. I'm a big Heat fan. I didn't think they had enough guns this year to do anything special, but it's just not good enough, man. Not good enough. And they gotta do some really some real.
No. They just need to get rid of Bam and Tyler Hero. That's it. That's all
No,
they need to do.
Bam stays. Tyler Hero can go. Tyler Hero can go.
I mean,
Tyler Hero can
Bam.
go. Miami
What?
total
You
best
get
big radio
game.
the show.
No, big game for the Miami Heat, and you get 7 points from Bam. That's what you get from him. 7 points. Impossible.
No way, man. Bam stays. Tyler Hero can go. Tyler Hero can go. No, not convinced. All right. Anyway, this is not Miami Total Football Basketball Radio. This is Miami Total Football Radio, the show. So we'll leave it there for this week's pod. We will be back again next week, of course, to recap this match against Nashville. And I see there's a lot of comment section here about the Miami Heat. People love the Miami Heat, man. People love the Miami Heat. Like, when it comes to football allegiances, there's a lot of Dolphins fans, but there's also allegiances everywhere. Freddie Diaz says, Bam is untouchable. No way. There you go, Jose. See?
Check
You don't know
the
anything
stats.
about pop culture, and you don't know anything about basketball.
You have to check the stats. Check the stats. And look for meaningful games for the Miami Heat, and you'll probably
Bam,
add
that's
20
wild,
points
Jose.
for Bam.
Kyla says, Bam. That's wild, Jose. Tank 721, give him that red card. There you go. See? You're going to get red carded here, Jose. Andrea got red carded early on. You're going to get red carded late on. And then you can go listen to more Cardi B and Shakira with her as you sit on the sidelines.
I
By the way,
really thought
there's
Shakira and Antonella were friends. I really
There's
thought.
new MLS rules that are coming into play this weekend with time substitutions, injuries, and how long you have to be tended to on the field. There's new things, new implementations of rules coming in this weekend. So if you see it in the Miami game, don't be surprised. All right, we will leave it there. If you're new, old, if you're watching this live, listening to this after the fact, please leave us a like, a share, a comment, smash those buttons, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I keep repeating it. We are so close to the number we need to be at, and I would really help us, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys can help us get there. I will do a giveaway once we get to that magic number, which we are close to. So we'll leave it there. For Jose Armando, a.k.a. Mr. Know Nothing About Pop Culture or Basketball, I am Franco Panizo. You have been listening to Miami Total Futbol Radio. We will talk to you guys again next week.